Welcome to the CSI Instructional Podcast. My name is Andrew Wurst, and today we'll be talking about a couple basic features of the Mac OS X, including viewing file information, creating a smart folder, making a stack, using the dock, using forced quit, using Spotlight, increasing Mac security, setting system preferences, changing the desktop picture, and lastly, energy saving options. So let's get started. Alright, in this segment we're going to be looking at how to view file information on the Mac OS X. So the first thing we're going to want to do is go ahead and open up the Finder, and then we're going to want to select the file that we wish to view the information for. So when we want to open up the Get Info window, there's actually a couple different ways we can do it. To start with, on the keyboard you can hit the Control button and then click on the files, and then after that you just click the Get Info button. Secondly, you can put two fingers on the trackpad if you're on a laptop and click, and that same file will open up. Lastly, what you can do is you can select the file and hit Command-I, and that will open up the window right there for you. So when the window opens up, there's a couple different things. We have a bunch of different tabs here. Under the General Information tab, it says what kind of file it is, the size, where it's located on your hard drive, when it was created, and when it was last modified, and you can also select the different colored labels for your file. Secondly, we have the More Info, which just gives a little bit more about it. Name and extension, you can rename your file here. Open with, you can select what default program you wish to open your file with. The preview gives you a preview of what the file looks like when it's open. And lastly, we have sharing and permissions, which simply shows what you can do and what other people can or can't do. So in this segment, we're going to be taking a look at how to create a smart folder. Now, a smart folder, in essence, is a self-updating folder, and it updates itself based on the criteria that you give it. So basically, you tell it what to search for, and it'll search for it and put those files in it. So to begin with, we're going to open up the Finder, and the first way to create a smart folder is to go to File, and then Create New Smart Folder. Secondly, you can move the mouse icon over the Finder icon in the dock, hit the Control button, and then click on New Smart Folder. The final and third way to do this is, again, move the pointer over the Finder window, put two fingers on the trackpad and click, and that same folder should open up, and then hit New Smart Folder, So when you do this, you're going to find this window pop up, and essentially you can search for anything, you can save it, you can hit this little plus button, you can select what type of file you want it to find, and then anything like this. Essentially, smart folders can do it all. In this segment, we're going to be looking at how to create a stack in the dock in the Mac OS X. This is actually a really easy thing. So to begin with, all we need to do is open up the Finder, and you'll see here we have a couple different files already made. If you wish to, you can create a new file to put in the dock, or you can use an existing one. So for this example, we're going to go ahead and make a stack for my CSI folder. So all we're going to have to do is click on that folder and drag it down to the dock and place it to the right of the separator here. There's a little separator in the dock, and you're going to want to place it to the right of that, in the same area that the trash can is. So now when we click on this, you're going to see, oh, well wait, that's not a fan, that's not a proper stack. Well, no, but it does serve the same function as a stack. Now if we want, we can control click or do the two finger trick, and actually this will give us, it's kind of like an option menu for the stacks. If we want, we can view it as a fan, so now when we click on it, it is technically a proper stack, or we can list it as a grid as it was previously. We can also have it as a list where we see everything as a list. So in the stack option, you can select how you wish to view them. I prefer the grid method. It gives me a preview of what it looks like and then the names. But you can choose any of those. They all work very well. In this segment, we're going to be looking at the dock feature on the Mac OS X. The dock is a very handy and very powerful tool to use. It's basically like well, I wouldn't say a shortcut, but a customizable application folder that's right on your desktop and gives you instant access to any application of your choice. To put an application on the dock, all we do is open up the Finder, select the Applications window, and then we select whichever application we choose to put on the dock. For this example, let's use Final Cut Pro. As you can see, if the application is already on the dock, it simply does nothing. Now, if you have an application that's not currently on the dock, well, all we do, same thing, just drag and drop, and it appears right there. Now, to get rid of an app, all we do, it's the same method, just drag and drop right off into the back of the desktop, and it poofs away. So now let's look at a few of the customizable options of the dock. To begin with, we're going to go to the Apple button, and then roll over the dock option. Here we're going to see position on left, bottom right, dock preferences, hiding on, magnification off or on. Another way to get to this menu is to scroll to this little divider here and control click, or we can do the two-finger method, and you get many of the same things. Position on left, bottom right, minimizing, etc. Now, if we want to customize this from the system preferences, well, we just open up System Preferences, click on Dock, and we have all the same options. We have position on screen left, right, bottom. We can choose and select the size of the dock, which depending on how many applications you have in yours, it'll only get so big, as you can see. We can also customize the magnification when we scroll over the dock. So now we have it right in the middle, but if we put it all the way to minimum, it'll do nothing. And if we put it to maximum, it'll go all the way. You can also turn that on and off as well. You can also select the different minimizing effects as well as a couple more customizable options. Alright, so in this segment we're going to be discussing the forced quit feature of the Mac OS X. Now, the forced quit feature is not something that you want to use all the time. It's essentially a fallback in case any applications get so backed up that it stops syncing. So let's say, for example, that, well, let's say we have GarageBand open, and then we've also got Logic open, and Sibelius, and iMovie, and Final Cut. So let's just pretend that we have all of our apps open. Let's just say that for whatever reason we have every single app on our computer open. Now, what's going to happen is your computer is going to get so caught up in multitasking that it's not going to be able to really focus, and its brain is going to get locked up, and you're going to be trying to work in GarageBand, but what's going to happen is it's not going to be able to think clearly. So the little mouse icon is going to change to a little circle, and it's going to be like a little rainbow, and it's going to be spinning around. Now that means that the computer is thinking, it's trying to get something done. And that's going to keep going, and it's basically going to say, you know, application is not responding, and then you're going to get a little menu, and it says forced quit, and you're going to want to click that. Another thing that you're going to see happen is essentially in the dock icon, you can control click that or use the two-finger method, and where it says quit, it will now say force quit. But again, that's not something you want to use all the time because it's a little bit of an unsafe way to shut an application down. You only want to use that if you absolutely have to. So now in this segment we're going to be taking a look at the Spotlight feature of the Mac OS X. Now the Spotlight feature will probably become your best friend while using your Mac. It is the quickest way to find any files or data storage on your computer. Now you'll notice in the top right hand corner of the screen there's this little magnifying glass. That is the icon for the Spotlight. Now if we click on it, this little text field is going to pop up, and if we want to search for music, for example, we're going to type in music, and you can see all the top files for each category is going to appear. Now, if we want to do this without having to make a trip up to the top right-hand corner, all we have to do is hit Command Spacebar, and that very thing is going to pop up. And of course, to reset the field, you just hit the X button or the delete button, whichever you prefer. And finally, if you open up the Finder, you're going to see the same little icon in the Finder window, and let's just type in the same thing, and it does the exact same thing, except now it's all opened up in your Finder window, and you have all of your files at your fingertips. In this segment, we're going to be looking at how to increase your security settings on your Mac using the System Preferences tab. So we're going to open up System Preferences and click on the Security button. And this is going to bring us to another screen where we have General, Firewall, and Firewall. So in General, you can require a password for logging onto your computer. This is good, for example, if you have more than one user on your computer. And there's also a couple different, well, not just a couple, but a few different things you can select here. Under Firewall, you can do the same. You set your master password and turn on your Firewall protection. And lastly, we have the Firewall, and this is essentially your stuff for Safari or whatever internet browser you have on your Mac. This is to help prevent viruses, etc. And you can turn that on and off from here. Alright, so in this segment we're going to be taking a look at how to change and customize your system preferences. If you don't already have the system preferences icon in your dock, simply open up the Finder, click on the application window, search for system preferences, and double click. So when you open up the system preferences window, you're going to find a bunch of small different icons. And they're also categorized into a couple different sections. We have personal, hardware, internet and wireless, system, and other. So you can click on any of these and change any of the settings on the inside of them anytime you wish. So let's check out the energy saver function. So as you can see, there's two little boxes here, and each of them has slightly different contents. Now, this is a good thing to note because some of these icons here, some of the different categories, they're not going to have all the same tabs, and they're not all going to have the same number of tabs. Some have more than others. For example, the security has 3 of them, while the energy saver only had 2. Another thing to note is this little lock down here. So if you don't want any further changes, you can click the lock, and it locks it, and they can't be changed. In order to change them again, you simply click the lock. It'll prompt you for your computer password. You enter it, hit OK, and then of course the lock is going to open up. So we're just going to hit cancel, and we don't want to change anything because we like our settings. And a good thing to note is that some don't have that icon. So the energy saver, security certainly has it. Like I said, some of them have it, some of them don't. And it'll be up to you whether to use that feature or not. But there you go. There's how you customize and change your system preferences. In this segment, we're going to be taking a look at how to change your desktop background image. So what we're going to do is come down to the dock and click on System Preferences. And again, if you don't have the System Preferences tab in your dock, simply head on over to the Finder and then click the Applications tab, and you'll find it right in that folder. So from here, we're going to click on the Desktop and Screensaver icon, and this is going to bring us to this window. Now, we're only going to be focusing on the desktop background, but you can also change your screensaver from this menu as well. So in the desktop menu here, we see the current background and displayed in this little square, and it also says the name of that image. Underneath that, we have different not icons, but different options here on how you want your image displayed. And depending on the size of your image, it'll do different things. So for example, if we want this image to be tiled, then there we go. It's tiled. You can see that it repeats there. See it in the middle. We also have the center, which if your image is smaller than your screen size, you're going to get this border. And also note that this little square rectangle appears. From here, you can select what color you want that border to be changed to. Let's go ahead and change that to black. So then we also have the stretch to fill screen. Now this, again, depending on the size, is going to pixelate your image. It might not. It might even make it smaller, which actually is the function of the fit to screen. So the fit to screen is going to make it a perfect image where you may or may not have the the background color on the sides, which again, this little menu appears and you can change it from there. Next is the fill screen, where essentially it does the same as the stretch to fill screen. So these are again different options that you have. You can also choose your different images that you have in a particular folder, and you're also able to access different folders. If we wanted to go to the nature, and let's pick the earth here, you'll see that it opens up the folder, click the image, and it instantly changes. To change it back to your previous image, all you do is open up that folder, click the image, and there you go, no problem. In this final segment, we're going to be looking at the power-saving options of a 15-inch MacBook Pro. So to start with, we're going to go ahead and open up our system preferences, and again, if you don't have this icon in your dock, just head on over to the Finder window and then select Applications, and you'll find it there. From this window, we're going to go ahead and click on the Energy Saver icon. Now here we can see we have two different sections. We have the battery power and the power adapter. Now the only difference between the two is, if you look here in the middle row of these three options, the middle one changes. Another thing to note about the two different windows is that even though they're the same categories here, so you can have different settings for them. So for example, when I'm running on battery power, as we are now, you can see that if I do not touch the computer for about 2 minutes, minute and a half, the display will go to sleep, and then in about 10 minutes the computer itself will put itself to sleep. For the power adapter, you'll see that that's moved up, and you can change those anytime you want. One thing to note about changing these settings is this little lock down here. If your lock is closed, then you're going to have to click on it and then enter your computer password, and you will then be able to change your settings. Now, say for example we do change our settings, and so let's put the display sleep to never, and it'll say something like this: computer may use more energy with these settings. Okay, but we don't like that. Well, let's change it again. Not sure why I did that. So we're about 15 minutes for both, and we can't remember when or where the computer's going to go to sleep. So we just hit restore default, and it puts it right back. The power adapter, it's the same thing. If you change the setting, you just hit restore default, and there you go, no problem. Another thing to note is up here in the right hand corner we have a battery display. It also shows how much time is remaining, what your power source is, as well as how to show the icon. So if we want icon only, then it's just going to show us the battery here. Another thing to note is that if you want to quickly get to your energy saver preferences, say we don't want to open up the system preferences tab first, we just click on the battery icon and then click here. It'll open up system preferences, and we're immediately brought to this window. So, I'd like to once again thank you for joining me in this CSI instructional podcast. I hope you were able to learn a thing or two, or perhaps brush up on some basic skills. This is Andrew Wurst, signing out until next time.